Your credit score versus your credit profile. A lot of people have this misconception that your credit score is the end all be all, and that's going to get you access to whatever you want in this financial life. And I'm here to let you know that's far from the truth. In this lesson, I'm going to go over why you need to understand the difference between the two and how you can continue to maneuver in this life so you can have a better credit score so you will never be denied for anything ever again. Let's dive in. So number one, we want to talk about how your credit profile works. But before I get into that, I just want to basically explain your credit score before I get to your credit profile. You got to remember that your credit score is only these three scores that you get from all three credit bureaus. You might have a 750, 760, and a 770, right? But that's just surface level. When it comes to these institutions, they check up under the hood when it comes to these 750s, 760s, 770s, and that's where your credit profile is. When it comes to your credit profile, it's all about what trade lines you have in your name. No, I'm not talking about AU trade lines. I'm not talking about authorization trade lines, basically where you're on your grandmother's credit card. You're on your friend's credit because he has great credit. That's all fine and well, but that means this much to actual trade lines that are actually in your name. You actually got to understand there's a difference between a thin credit profile and a thick credit profile. You always want to obtain a thicker credit profile because you look very much more responsible to lenders. And when it comes to your credit profile, you have to understand how your credit is made up. Remember, your credit is made up of 35% of payment history. Next is 30% of amounts owed. So for example, loans, auto, mortgages, student loans, the list goes on and on when it comes to what you owe. Those two alone are going to be the main course when it comes to your credit. The next one is the type of credit that you have. Do you have credit cards? Do you have short-term loans, long-term loans, anything of that nature? Consumer loans, all of these things. The next one is new credit, aka inquiries. So when it comes to inquiries, you got to remember that it's more like a timestamp on your credit report. So what that means is, hey, if you applied for a credit card on Thursday, it's a timestamp stating that to whoever looks at your credit report, hey, this person tried to obtain or got this actual credit card on this time of this day. So that's where the new credit comes in at. All right, and the last one is, of course, credit history. And a lot of times that just has a lot to do with how long you've had these accounts open. If you've had your credit card for over 10 years, that's great credit age. That shows that you've been in the game for a very long time and you're responsible. If you've had a loan for that time and it's been in great standing, that's where that comes from as far as your credit history. So if you just take this wheel alone and you actually use it for your benefit, you'd be surprised how thick your credit profile will become. So if you're actually having a 5-year plus credit card, if you have great standings with loans, if you have 2 or 3 accounts that are in your name, you're thickening your credit profile just there alone. And I'm still not even finished yet. So if we were starting from the basics or rebuilding your credit profile, you should start with at least 4 to 5 accounts. I'm going to explain. So with these 4 or 5 accounts, I would say, in my opinion, and this is just from what I did, I would say 1 or 2 of them need to be credit cards. Secure cards are okay. I promise you, they're not that bad as what you think. You're rebuilding your credit or you're starting from the basics. You got to remember, you got to start somewhere. But if you have 1 to 2 credit cards on your account and it shows that they're in great standing, you're doing great. You can go to Navy Federal and get their perfect secured card. You can go to Discover and get their great secured card. Or even if you have credit cards with low limits, don't feel ashamed or don't feel that you're missing out on something. You can take those cards, continue to pay everything off on time, and get larger credit increases. So I would say 1 to 2 credit cards are good. The next is short-term loans. Short-term loans more so mean as far as just loans in general. You know, there's so many names for so many institutions. So with that being said, I'll give you an example of how you should use a short-term loan just to thicken your credit profile. Let's just say, for example, you need new tires, right? And let's just say they cost $450. You have the money to get the tires, but what I want you to do is I want you to go to your institution. I want you to ask them for a loan of $450 or $500. Do not take that $50 and go buy something else. What I want you to do is I want you to take that loan money and I want you to go pay for your tires. All right, don't forget you already have the money for them. So when you pay off the tires with that loan amount, you're gonna take your actual money of $450 and I want you to either pay it off or I want you to pay 80 to 90% of it off. And then after that, you're gonna pay all the small installment loans over that course of those months. And after that, once you pay it off, it's gonna show that you paid off a loan and it's in great standing, right? And then you can just rinse and repeat. And the next one is, of course, long-term loans. So if you have a auto loan, a home loan, things of that nature, those are great loans to have where you're paying it off and it's also in great standing. You can kind of get away with this if you're just starting. I'm not expecting you to go out there and go get a Honda or anything like that, or a fourplex or anything. That's for another topic. But if you can't do that, just go back to the short-term loans or get another credit card and really just start building everything up. If you have to go buy something, get a short-term loan, pay it off, do that. If you have to go get something and it's a good amount of money and you already have the money for it, go get a loan. Actually use it, pay it off, and after that, use your money to pay off the loan. It's just to thicken your credit profile and you're going over time. Remember, it's always better to have these on your accounts paid off in great standings than to not have them at all. Because remember, at the end of the day, a thin credit profile is not going to get you a lot. Always remember that. And just to give you a quick reminder, your credit score is only for your interest rate, but your credit profile is what gets you approved. And I'll give you another example. Let's just say you're trying to actually go get a really nice car. You've been looking at this car for a long time, right? You just looked at your credit score for the first time and it shows that you have a 800 across the board, right? Let's just say you only have one credit card and you've just been paying it off over the course of however long. That's all you have, and it shows you have an 800 credit score. Let's just say you go down to the dealership and you're looking at this car. Let's just say you see me up there and we're looking at the same car. And you look at me and you say, hey, you looking at this car too? And I say, yeah, for the most part. And you ask me, well, what's your credit score? Oh, I have a 700. And then you're probably gonna look at me and be like, yo, you're not gonna get approved. Man, I got an 800, man. I'm driving this off the lot today. But on my end, I have a lot of loans that are paid off. I have a few credit cards up under my belt. I've had perhaps a car before this that was in my name that I paid off over time, things of that nature. So let's proceed. So let's just say you go to the dealer and you tell them, hey, I'm looking at this car and I would like to get this off the lot right now before him. They're gonna say, yes, sir or ma'am. Okay, let's run your credit. So let's just say that they run your credit and then after that they tell you, we're actually going to deny you. You're gonna say, what? Huh? I don't understand. I have an 800 credit score. And then they're gonna say next, and I'm saying, hey, I'm looking at the same type of car. Can you run my credit? Sure, no problem, sir. They're gonna run my credit even though I have a 700, and they're gonna say, oh, you're approved. You're gonna turn around and you're gonna say, I don't understand. I have an 800 credit score. He has a 700. How is he approved and I'm not? My score is better. You know what they're gonna tell you? They're gonna say, sir or ma'am, you've never had anything in your name before. We do see that you have this credit card in your name and you've been paying it off great, and we greatly appreciate that. But we don't know if we can trust you with something this large as far as an auto loan. This person right here, he's had an auto loan on his account before. He's paid off a few short-term loans that were $1,000, tens of $1,000 here and there, and he's always paid everything off. You gotta remember, your credit profile is nothing but your responsibility and your maturity when it comes to financial products. So this is why you gotta make sure that you have a credit profile that is thick enough so when you actually go and wanna get these things, you will never actually be denied. Always remember that, keep that in mind. Now disclaimer, that doesn't always happen, but 8 times out of 10, they will deny you or they'll make you have an interest rate so high, you don't even want the card no more. So reminder, make sure that you take everything that I said into consideration. Go to the local credit unions or the credit unions that you're already with and try to actually start thickening your credit profile. If you're with Navy Federal, get a pledge loan. If you're with DCU credit union, get a secured savings loan. If you're not and you're with these other institutions, get these short-term loans, whether it's $1,000, pay your rent off. Take the rent money that you already have and pay the loan off and rinse and repeat. And I promise you, over a time of a few months, you will see your credit profile go from thin to extremely thick, and I promise you, you're gonna thank me later. I want to thank you guys for stopping by, and I want to thank you guys for retaining all of this information. If you've done anything similar to this, or if you are gonna do something like this, put it in the comment section below so we can have a conversation about it. I promise you, you'd be surprised how many people are in the same boat with you that's trying to obtain all of these things as far as houses and cars, etc., so they can continue to go on in their financial future. And until next time, ladies and gents.